Should you buy a sit down or a stand on zero turn? I think it's a really good question. More so a question if I think that you're a commercial customer than residential. But we have a guy that actually was talking to us just the other day buying a Revoltex, a $12,000, $13,000 mower for his half-acre lot because he just likes to stand. And so you may be in a situation that even though you're a residential person that you want this, but I think this is much more a question for people that are maybe commercial landscapers, okay? So let's kind of think about that question, and let's take a couple mowers that we got here for sale. What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages between both of those options? So definitely the majority of mowers that we sell are a sit down. And why? Why is that the case? Well, I think just naturally, right, you're gonna be a lot more comfortable when you're sitting. If you're a commercial guy, that makes a lot of sense that you wanna be all day long and be comfortable on your ride. So first off, it does come down to comfort, right? You'll definitely be more comfortable typically when you're sitting on a zero turn mower versus standing. Now, this is really where this whole debate starts because I hear a lot of guys that have back issues, and especially if you're a commercial guy that's out there, you may actually lean towards a stand-on machine, but you might not. And it's funny, you know, if I transition over to this Revolt X right here, for whatever reason, now keep in mind, as I stand on this mower, I'm 6'8" tall, okay? So maybe most of you guys are like right in here, okay? But I hear from a lot of different guys that when they're standing on a machine, all of my legs are taking the brunt. It's my legs that are absorbing this all day long. And I think it really depends on a person's posture because I hear from half of the people that you stand on machines that this is better for their back. And I hear from the other half that this is worse for their back. I think it really comes down to how you posture your body because I do hear from a lot of different people that this is the best thing that's ever been for their back to be standing on a machine. I've heard from the other half of people the exact opposite. So if you've never been on a stand-on machine, you need to figure out which one of those two that you are. This may be better for your back, it might be worse. It depends on your situation. Now, if you're a commercial guy, another thing that I think is something you gotta consider between both of these machines is this length of this machine is typically much shorter than an actual traditional zero turn. So if you're a commercial guy that's got a 22 foot trailer, that could be the difference in getting 3 or 4 machines on a trailer versus only 2 or 3. So that's something you want to consider. Now, another thing is when you're standing on a machine, you have complete and total visibility. So there's a lot of guys, let's say you got a big crew, if you don't want your guys to be lazy, get them on a stand-on machine. It's so much easier to hop off, grab trash, get back on the machine when you're on a stand-on machine. So that's something you want to consider is how easy it is to get on and off the machine. And then I think it very much depends on the type of properties that you have. Are you going in and out of residential properties that are a quarter, half an acre, or are you on properties that are 3, 4, 5, 6 acres and beyond? Because I would not want to be on a really large acreage property standing most of that time. That's where it's going to make a lot more sense to be sitting. But I think if you've got a lot of half acre and under properties, this is so much faster to get on and off that trailer. And you're not gonna be standing for hours on end. You're gonna be standing, you're gonna go in and out of that property, you might get in and out of there in 20 minutes. That's where I think a stand-on machine makes a lot more sense. But if you're hitting really large acreage properties, I could see you more on a sit-down machine. And a few other things I really think you need to consider is with a stand-on machine, this being kind of traditional, what you see on a lot of stand-on machines. This actually has a platform with some suspension in it. You can have mowers, Bad Boy being one that there's just so many out. We sell Bad Boys, right? So you guys are gonna see that. If I stand on the front of this machine, that's just loaded with suspension. I do get some suspension right here, depends on your brand, but beyond suspension, what I can do, let's say I was on a hillside and I wanted to be safer on that hillside, I can flip this up and I could actually walk behind this machine. So actual stability when you're on slopes, this is probably a lot safer on a hill. Imagine something happening on a hill as well that you got to just quickly ditch. Just much safer that you could be standing beside and gain a lot of that stability. So I think this is gonna be a lot better, you know, when you're on those hillside type properties. You know, as far as overall comfort, I keep kind of coming back to that. This right here, you got your whole arm to be able to push. You got a really different setup here that you may be in a position that there's some hand fatigue that could come along with that. And I think it depends, you know, on who you are, but actually operating this if you've operated a zero-turn mower, is just the same. You know, this is driving that right tire, this is driving the left, and so you can position your hands to be able to go forward or backwards. And I think the actual operation side is just as easy. Just like the first time you're on a zero-turn mower, this takes a little bit of getting used to. But after you do it a little bit, I think it's nothing that's gonna scare you away as far as operating. And then just to talk about serviceability, this is gonna really depend on brands, right, that you get. But if we look on this particular machine, typically, you've got pretty decent access when you were talking about getting to the engine on an actual zero turn. It very much depends on which stand-on as far as how easy it is to actually get to the engine. This is one that is a lot more open than most brands, but if I go over this way, so I've got a Toro grandstand over here, and they do have it tucked in sideways, so I can't get to half of this compartment, and sometimes because it's a shorter width, it is a little bit tighter, a little bit harder to work on stuff. Toro has done some stuff really smart that this gas tank is super easy to remove, but that's something you have to remove to be able to get access. But on a mower like this, there are things you can do, like get a mulch bucket, and I see that a lot more common on a sit-down zero-turn. There's usually some type of platform, like you can get a basket or other things like that, that I think you have more ability to do that on a stand-on machine. And then you go over to this bad boy. Again, they're tucking a little bit tighter, but it is open in this compartment. And so again, like it really depends brand to brand as far as that accessibility. But this Toro, kind of the same thing as what you saw in the bad boy. I can flip this up and I can actually get behind and walk behind this machine. So there's just some versatility when you're on those hills with things like that. And it might depend who you are. You might be a guy that's looking for a stand-on to be a 52, a 54, a 60-inch deck, and it's kind of that main mower for you. But it's really common that we sell a lot of these smaller mowers, because you could consider a stand-on. The question for you might not be stand-on versus sit-down, it might be stand-on versus walk behind. How nice is it when you've got a lot of different brands? Toro does the same thing, that they've got these little 32, 36-inch mowers. Bad Boy has one you can get in a 42, a 34. This is so much better than having to walk behind if you've got to get in those back gates. So there can be an advantage to go the stand-on route if you're looking at it from that perspective as well. So am I a commercial landscaper? No, I'm not. But if I was, I think where I would kind of lean is I would like one big sit-down zero turn, and I would like something kind of more in between as far as a stand-on, because there's an advantage to the stand-on, there's an advantage to the sit-down. Depends on the type of properties that you have, and if you've got a nice mix between both of those, maybe the answer is both. Are you the type of guy or gal that would like to be standing? Would that be better for your back, or would you be the ones I'm talking about that would be worse for your back? Go to your local dealer, get a demo, and you might figure out which one is the right one for you. So hope that helped. You landscapers, tell us in the comments, should you get a sit down? Should you get a stand on? There's a lot more, I'm sure, that could be said on this topic. So definitely let us know in the comments. Until the next one, we'll see you.